Hey everyone, here in Facebook and YouTube land. Rowena here. If you are joining me live, I'd love for you to drop a comment in the chat so I can see that you're there. And if you have any questions, I'm just going to share for a brief time about a topic that is brewing. It's just brewing in my heart, and I just wanted to share it with you. I don't have full notes on this and a full preach or anything like that, but if you're tuning in live for the first time and we haven't met, my name is Rowena Rodriguez, and I primarily am known for speaking and teaching in the area and topic of biblical purity and sexual integrity. And so here's the thing that I wanted to talk about today. There's this topic that I was on a youth group Zoom recently, and our youth staff member had a little bit of a slip of a tongue, and he was talking about communication, and he was talking about relationship, and he accidentally said the word communicationship, and I thought, that's it. That is what I'm talking about is communicationship. And what that is the importance of communication in our relationships. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm like the full expert on communicating effectively in all of my relationships, but I am effective in communicating in the relationships that I choose to show up in. And so I think the first point that I'd like to share is this. Again, I'm just like pulling thought bubbles out to share with you. And that is, there's certain relationships that we lean into and certain ones that kind of repel us, right? Certain ones that we have allergic reactions to. And there's this theme. I was reading this book called The Finished Life by Pedro Adao. And in chapter 7 of the book, he talks about this idea of, I think I don't know, but it came from a book that he was reading, and in regards to getting the right people on your bus. And so here's where I want to take this conversation. If there's anybody out there with me live, I'd love for you to drop in the comments if you can relate to being on the struggle bus. Now, I've heard this before, and it seems like during a global pandemic lockdown, that there are a lot of us that are in or have been on the struggle bus. And if you're not in it today, you might be in it tomorrow. And that is feeling like there's somebody driving the vehicle you're in, and you're just struggling in the back, and with no idea of when the ride is going to complete and come to a complete stop, right? So that's kind of what I liken what that term means to me. Might mean something different to you. So then that conversation kind of came full circle when I read chapter 7 in The Finished Life. And he talks about Jesus and how Jesus had his 12 disciples. And his 12 disciples, of the 12, he had 3 that he was I guess in the book, he talks about his core group. There's an inner circle, and then there's a core group that Jesus invests in. But all 12 are his disciples, right? And the 70 beyond that, he talks in the book, in The Finished Life, about the multitude, right? It's pretty much just everyone else, you know? And so in the topic or conversation of communicationship, I know that I am a highly long-winded communicator in the area of my core circle, my core group of friends, and then there's kind of like an inner circle, and that is in the periphery that I do keep in connection to, but they don't know the secret desires of my heart. Maybe they do. They've had little glimpses of it. And then there's like the 12. There's a 12 that you keep in contact with, that you care about, you connect with, but they're not necessarily in the everyday. They don't sleep where you sleep. They don't eat where you eat, that kind of thing. They don't really live day to day with you. And then beyond that is the multitude, right? And so in the area of communicationship, here's what I wanted to kind of share, that there's certain people in our lives that I have had to, especially during a global pandemic lockdown, particularly here in Southern California, we have locked down again. And so loneliness is louder than usual, and especially during the holidays. And yeah, and it's tough, right? And so what happens, I think, in some of our relationships is that we kind of we don't prioritize our communication with the right people in our lives. So during this pandemic lockdown, here's what I've learned. I've learned who my core people are, who are those in my inner circle, who are those, the dozen, the 12, and then the multitude beyond that, the 70, right? Because we can't possibly keep up with that many people, right? And so maybe some of you do. So here's what I've learned. In chapter 7 of the book, he talks about it's important for us to get the wrong people off the bus and get the right people on the bus. And when you get the right people on your bus, you got to make sure they're in the right seats on the bus. I was like, good Lord, help me to put all the right people in the right seats on the bus, Lord. But I think it is important that we use our communication with those core and inner circle groups to kind of just put a pulse, take the pulse of that relationship. Reach out to those who we choose to be in relationship with, right? So, and be intentional about who you choose. So here's another principle I learned in the same book, in the same chapter, is that oftentimes you have relationships that you have been chosen for. And you just kind of fall into it because it's comfortable, it's convenient maybe. But then there are also relationships that you can actually choose to be into. Now, if you have the majority of your relationships where you have just been chosen and you don't actively choose those people to be in, to have that kind of access to you, then that's probably there's probably an imbalance to those relationships that you have. And there's usually a lack of mutuality. An investment, there's kind of like an unequal investment in the time and in the depth of commitment of those relationships. And so then there are relationships that you actively pursue and that you are very intentional about. These are people you cannot live without. You need these people in your life, right? And you actively invest in those relationships, you pursue those relationships, and hopefully you're stewarding those relationships with loving communication, exhortation, prayer. Hopefully there's some like-mindedness also that you share in. So I just want to say during this very challenging time for all of us, particularly here in the United States, where there are many hot topics and hot issues that are very divisive in nature, and that are putting a wedge between so many relationships. But here's what I want to shine the light on in the dark places, is that I want to shine the light on the relationships that thrive despite division and contention and high stress and annoyances and all of those things. That it really does highlight the relationships where you do share a love, a mutual respect despite the differences. And I'm like so grateful for those few relationships that have been highlighted during such a time as this, right? And so that's kind of something I wanted to share. I'd hope that somebody would hop on live with me and kind of banter a little bit. But you can, if you're watching this after the live feed, I'd love for you to just drop a comment or something like that, and I'd love to respond back to you. Or if you have any questions, anything to add. But yeah, number one, the communicationship is really important. Communication and relationship, making that a priority. But here's what I want to talk about and just kind of button it up is think about the relationships that are very meaningful to you. Think about the relationships that you choose, not the one you defaultly are chosen for because you're useful to others, but think about the relationships that actually that you fight for, that you invest in, that you need in your life because you feel loved and there's a mutual respect and there's like-mindedness in that relationship despite any areas of disagreement, right? And I think also during the time like this those are the relationships that are actually going to be highlighted during this time if they haven't already. Now, I realize also that this is a time where we're mourning a lot of relationships that are not what we thought they were during a time like this. And it doesn't mean that they go away forever, but it just means that this is a trying time for everybody, and everyone's kind of everybody, and there's a lot of feeling that everyone's kind of just helping themselves, right? And so that's why I feel like it was important for me to kind of just let me just bring up this topic of communicationship, and how important that is to your core group and to your inner circle. And we'd be so blessed just to have just one person in that core group. I mean, if you get one your whole life, we'd be so blessed. And I think it's important. It isn't like being elitist at all. Jesus, again, he had his 12, he had his core, Peter, James, and John. And then he had, Peter, James, and John, he had his 12, and then he had the 70 after that. And even the temple is built in that way. There's the outer court, there's the inner court, and then there's the Holy of Holies. And so it is modeled biblically for us, the importance of every type of relationship, and how the outer court, notice if you look at the temple, the map of the temple, or all of the evolutions of the temple in the Bible, the outer court's pretty big and it's open. It's got gates, certain gates that close and open, right? It's important for us to have gates and fences. That's why we have boundary lines, right? And we have hours of operation. The doors are open for anyone to come in and out. It's kind of commerce. We go to work. People come into your office, make appointments with you. There's certain times where those relationships are appropriate to meet a stranger. Maybe that stranger then becomes a friend, and that friend then comes into your inner court. They become part of the people that you respect because of the value that they bring into your life, and the personality and the friendship that's unfolding. And then from the inner court, there are, maybe for the rest of your life, Jesus is in there, right? There's that one priest that is selected every year to enter into the Holy of Holies, right? And we'd be so blessed to just have one human being our whole life in that place. And sometimes you have someone in that place who knows you intimately and for a long time, and can kind of be a character witness for you, who knows you real well. Maybe it's a family member or a friend that you've had a real long time. And how blessed are we to have a relationship like that? Those are very precious relationships. But maybe that relationship is seasonal, and maybe that relationship is a lifetime. And I know even with my relationship with my best friend that I've had for many years, our relationship ebbs and flows, and how the consistency of time that we spend together. She lives out of state, but as soon as we get on a call, or as soon as we get together in person, it's like time hasn't changed. We still just know each other really well. And I believe that kind of relationship, I recognize that relationship because it's a relationship I have with Christ, right? And so, and I value her friendship, and I value I'm very intentional about the pursuit of that relationship as well. And so I do my best to invest and make time, carve time out of my day, no matter how busy, to work on that communicationship, keeping our lines of communication open. And there's some relationships that just don't work. They break down they wear out, and they don't get built back up again. And sometimes you just have to release those relationships, and hopefully they're released in a way that's loving and respectful. But I think during a time like this, grace abounds. Praise God. Grace abounds for all of us. There's a lot going on, a lot of risk involved, a lot of anxiety involved, financially, emotionally, spiritually. A lot of people are being tried and tested, shifted, and shaken. And I just thank the Lord. That if you're watching this, it's probably because we're connected somehow around the topic of purity and sexual integrity. Maybe you've seen me share a talk before, or maybe you're a friend or a family member that follows my page. Bless your heart. But I just, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear it. This is not like a fully refined teaching topic or anything. It's something that it's been on my heart, and I wanted to show up here and just maybe it might just connect with somebody out there, and allow us to have a dialogue about that. Also, another thing that I felt like was really, really important to share with you. I was speaking with a friend of mine this morning, and I had said that I'm hosting my 4th Kingdom Singles Personal Brand Challenge, and that's tomorrow on December 12th on Saturday. Now, we've shifted all of the times that we meet live into the evening, just so that we can accommodate so many Kingdom Singles who work during the day and prefer to have an evening time frame where they can kind of decompress and be present and join us in the live discussion. And I had said, this is actually a very special challenge for me. It's not only the last challenge I'm hosting, 5-day challenge I'm hosting for the year of 2020, but it's actually my birthday. And he's like, "Whoa, have you told that? Have you broadcasted that? That's why it's significant to you?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he challenged me and said, he challenged me with a look, but he challenged me to share with you that it's special to me because it's actually on my birthday. And I typically, here's my public confession, I typically hide out on my birthday. I have in the past experienced a little trauma around my birthday, and sometimes those little traumas when we're kids, it just kind of sticks with us. We make things mean something, and then when other events happen subsequent to that, they begin to solidify the thing that we've made it mean. And I thought for lots of years, and it's been a process of healing for me, is that people aren't very good at pausing to celebrate me in particular on my birthday. So I just canceled all celebration for my birthday for the last many, many years. And because I just kind of gave up on people, usually anytime I got together with anyone for my birthday, it would turn into something about them, about their life, it would just not be my birthday. And so I said, wow, I'm really like punching trauma in the face with this one, having a challenge start on my birthday. So it's like, here you go. It's rejection season. Here it is. Go ahead and just punch rejection in the face, and punch, this trauma in the face. And I'm just really glad actually that I can show up here. Hopefully, we know each other somehow, and kind of share that with you all, and how and why to me, and why I wanted to invite the Kingdom Singles in their 30s and 40s to join me for this challenge. It has been an incredible journey. People think this is like some matchmaking thing. It's not actually. This is, I wouldn't want to dumb it down to what matchmaking is, and I apologize if that is offensive to anyone. It's so much more than that. It is real people showing up, not just for themselves, but for the whole community in real time, and we're bypassing all the chit chat and getting right to the meat of the things that are so important to Kingdom Singles, particularly in our 30s and our 40s, in regards to our pursuit of marriage and family. It's important to us. I'm a sexual integrity speaker, so it's important to me to be married so we can be fruitful and multiply. Like, I am not even tiptoeing around that subject. It is really important to me. And those of you who this resonates with, I'd love for you to join me. I'll be sure to drop the invitation and the registration link again, because I cannot extend enough invitations to join, because as someone in the challenge, the last challenge I hosted she said, I didn't know I needed this. And boy, did that just make me nearly ugly cry. It's true. None of us knew we needed this. And I'm just so grateful that the Lord provided this, a real community, a safe community for Kingdom Singles in our 30s and 40s to gather, to meet, to learn, and to even glean from. It's iron that sharpens iron. So I hope that you join me. To get more information, you can look us up at kspersonalbrandchallenge.com. Bless you guys. Happy birthday to me. And I just thank you guys, and I bless you guys, and thank you for the safe place for me to land and share this conversation with you. All right. Bless you all. Have a good night.